Hi everybody. So I pre-pulled these cards just to keep the reading a little bit shorter. We have the Magician, the Two of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, Temperance, the Five of Cups, and the High Priestess. So we have the High Priestess and the Magician here bookending this reading, which is a very spiritual duo here. There's two people here that are very in tune with their spiritual side. They both know how to manifest. They both know that there's other realms besides what you're seeing in front of your face. We also have the Two of Cups here and the Page of Cups, which signifies some sort of connection between these two that is heart-based. The Two of Cups is a literal match, a love match, a couple that can come together and feel like they are one of the other. It could be a mirroring effect, which is pretty descriptive of the Magician and the High Priestess. They're both one of the same. There's a coming together, there's a flirtation, there's a joining of forces. We also have the Temperance, which could be Sagittarius energy. It could also just mean a balancing of two cups again, two cups coming together. And this could be a couple that isn't exactly the same, but is very similar in some ways too. It's a yin yang connection. It could be opposites attracting, but when they come together, it's the same force. It's just coming from different angles. The Temperance card is exactly that. The angel has one foot on the ground and one foot in the water. She is highly attuned about life and the cycles of life and knowing how to balance the good and the bad, right? She is pouring water in between two cups and balancing out the energies. Coming from a dark place, the Five of Cups, and balancing it out to start again, to know that life eventually evens out, right? So then we also have the Queen of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles, which is a very stable energy. It could be a working environment. It could also just be a teamwork between the two. It also could mean two people who feel the same way about stability or how they want to feel stable within their match. It's giving me a marriage almost, but it doesn't have to be physical marriage or literal marriage. It could just mean coming together with another person where you share the same moral ground. You share the same outlook on what you want out of a relationship, out of love, out of energy. And there's some sort of working together. So when two people are in a relationship and there's an issue, the Five of Cups, right? There are problems. What signifies a relationship from being successful versus not being successful is, how do you work towards the problem? Do you automatically fight against each other like you're in a tennis match? Or are you on the same team trying to work against the problem itself? So you two are on the same team versus the problem. This is a huge thing and a huge outlook in how couples negotiate with one another, because obviously problems are always going to occur. It's life. Life isn't perfect. There's always going to be issues that come up. There's always going to be challenges that happen between the two of you. And if you see eye to eye and you clink cups in a level way, that there's a lot of level-headedness. You see eye to eye, you are coming together and sharing knowledge. You're looking at the world side by side instead of against each other, especially when you don't agree, because this is what happens when people don't agree. You either start to fall apart because now you're not fighting for each other, you're fighting against each other. And that is a recipe for disaster, because as we all know, you're never going to get anywhere if you can't rely on your partner. If you can't rely on your partner to have your back, even if you don't agree with one another, you have to agree to disagree. You have to be open-minded enough to listen to one another's point of view truly open-mindedly and listen to another point of view and accept the fact that there's more than one right answer in life. There's more than one right way of doing things. It doesn't have to be good, bad, evil, all this stuff where you point the finger at each other and be like, my way or the highway. My way of thinking is the right way. Your way of thinking is wrong. That is how you will separate from one another. There's so many people in counseling that are married that don't see that as a huge problem. It's not the problem itself, it's how you deal with problems. And this is what I'm saying here, is that there is a match here. There's two people that are looking to connect with one another, 555 on the clock, and make a change. We also have the 5 of Cups, which is also a change in relationship. It's sad to divorce, it's sad to break up with someone, it's sad to not see eye to eye, but in order to be successful in relationships, in any sort of relationships, doesn't have to be romantic, but in this reading I feel like it is. We have the Page of Cups and the 2 of Cups. Especially in a romantic relationship, you have to have wiggle room for new ideas, for new ways of thinking, for new ways of doing things that were not like how you did it before. And you have to accept the fact that you don't know all the answers. Now, the Magician and the High Priestess are very wise, and they are in tune with the universe in multiple ways. So when two people like this come together, it could be a match that lasts for a very long time. This might be just starting with the Page of Cups, since we have the 5 of Cups and the Page of Cups. This is something that just starts off, but don't be fooled by newness, 707 on the clock. This is something that could last a lifetime. We have the Queen of Pentacles here, where it could be a very stable environment between you two. You manifest it, you create it, you build it yourselves. You don't expect relationships to just be stable on their own. You have to work at it. You have to build it in order for it to be stable. People just automatically think that just because you are in love with one another, that it's just going to work out flawlessly, and that is not the case. You both have to have the realization that life will give you problems. There's going to be ups and downs in your relationship. There's going to be ups and downs individually, and how we decide to deal with that as a person and also as a couple is a huge factor in whether or not your relationship lasts. If you give your other person the space to live their own lives still, it doesn't mean that you're not in a relationship with them anymore, but you have to still respect each other's individuality. You still have to respect each other's way of thinking and way of doing. And if you're both open-minded enough and both respectful enough to listen to one another and not judge, you can learn from one another and grow together. It's about growing up together. It's not about being grown up already, because our life is here as a learning ground. We learn all the time, or we should be learning all the time. Just because we know things doesn't mean there's nothing else left to learn. And this is what I'm getting here. There's a working and a coming together of teamwork, seeing eye to eye, of balancing out energies, and really respecting one another's point of view. That is where you start from, on solid ground between two people. And that's how you give yourself the ability to grow with one another. This is a highly spiritual connection between the two of you. And I don't see anything that might sway this relationship in any sort of way when you are grounded in your own self and also grounded in the relationship itself. You have to respect the relationship as it is. And if you see problems and work and issues as just a exercise for one another on how you both work as a team to solve each other's issues, you can help one another, and you won't judge life as being difficult and letting it ruin relationships, especially the relationship between you and this other person. So there's something here where you're learning to respect each other's viewpoints, but also coming together and balancing out and learning from one another to a point where you can grow and infinitely succeed with one another because you are a team. If you respect and support and protect your team as itself, as a third entity, and also as you two, as each other, respecting each other as single people coming together as a team, there's nothing else that would come in the way of that. There's nobody else that could come in the way of it. There's no problems that would be able to ruin this relationship. There's nothing that will be able to break you two if you both respect the relationship as an entity as itself, if that makes sense. So I think with this, it's all about balancing. If you're just starting to come together or investigate one another, 1111, there's something here where this could be something that lasts a very long time, but the respect has to be mutual. The learning curve has to be expected, right? Where you expect to keep learning from one another. You expect to not know all the answers, but you are on the same team. You're not against each other. You're on the same team.